Hello everyone, and welcome to our fireside chat with a global football and sporting icon. All of us know that Saudi Arabia wants innovation, substance, glamour, and who better to represent that than Mr. Luís Figo. For substance, 4 La Liga titles, 4 Serie A titles, 1 Champions League, and multiple other cups. And for the glamour, Ballon d'Or winner, and the original Galactico. Welcome, Louis.
Thank you. Very pleased to be here.
Thank you, Louis. You told me that Saudi Arabia was a special place for Portugal history.
Well, it's true. The history of football, Portuguese football, under 20 was raided in 86 in the World Cup under 20 when Portugal won the first title of under 20. So for that generation was a great achievement for Portugal football too, and opened a lot of doors for that generation. After that, we had the chance to win in Lisbon in the World Cup again. So it was very important for us.
Excellent. So the first Youth World Cup was won in Saudi for Portugal, and we're still waiting for the first Portuguese World Cup. So hopefully, if anyone's listening, if you want to do a World Cup in Saudi, so that we can have Portugal win it. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about your career very quickly. We will talk about sports tech and what's going on in the world of sports. And if we have time, we'll take a couple of questions from the audience. Unfortunately, the session was delayed, as you know, so we won't have a huge amount of time for that, but we will try. Let's speak about Sporting Lisbon. The major producers of talent. What is Portugal doing well? And what has Portugal done well to create so much talent from such a small country?
Well, I think it's a group of tools that make that Portugal produce so much talent. I think we have a fantastic youngers competition that make you got a lot of experience in terms of young football. It's very competitive. You have good coaches, good facilities, and I think the clubs are the difficulty to compete with another big league, so they have to form the players. That is one advantage that Portugal have. So with all of that united, I think makes the difference and makes the opportunities to have success in that area.
Excellent. It's impressive the amount of talent that they do produce. And talking about young, you were a young man when you joined Barcelona. You're football advisor to UEFA now. But talk me to how is that when you're a young man moving to a new country, you have to mix with 35 new competitors in a football team. How was your time at Barcelona?
Well, I think I moved pretty young to Barcelona with 22 years old, full of dreams. I wanted to follow my dream that was achieve the success and the titles in Barcelona. So I try to work hard, dedicate to my work, devote until I had the chance to achieve my goals. It was my first experience, so everything was new. But in the end, I think it was a great decision for me.
And when you look at your time in Barcelona now, you obviously had to do a very controversial move at the time. How was that? When you're an older man now with maturity, experience, looking back at someone who was so young, who took such a big decision, how do you look back at that now, the move from Barcelona to Real Madrid?
Well, I think it was a big move, important move personally, and that was marking an era in football, in Spanish football, because after 21 years, we're still talking about that, no?
Yeah.
It was the most expensive transfer in the world. A difficult decision for me, but I think resuming after the 5 years in Madrid was the important decision professionally and personal. And the decision was made because of recognizing what you give in your career, in your work. So when you don't feel recognized and you have the chance to move to another company, another club, so you always have that in mind, and that was happening.
Understood. And it's at your time in Madrid where you won the Champions League, and you were the original Galactico, and then you saw a series of the biggest names in football join the club. Talk me through what it was like to be in a dressing room with Ronaldo, David Beckham, Zinedine Zidane, Roberto Carlos. How was the atmosphere of winners and the best players in the world coming to work every day?
Well, I think looking the past, I think it was a unique moment for all of us, because we had the best club in the world that unite the best football players in the moment, different kinds of golden balls. We had the chance to play together, to learn from each other, and it was a great experience. I think still until today we have good relations, so that means that the atmosphere inside of the dressing room make us possible to win everything. I think in football is a team sport, and if you don't have a good atmosphere, a good relationship, it's much more difficult to achieve your goals. So very pleased to be part of that generation, that group, and I think was memorable for the club and for us.
Absolutely, and nobody who saw your team will ever forget it. We could talk about football all day, but I want to move into business and technology. As a retired football player who has a lot of investments and a lot of influence everywhere, what would you say to these companies that come to a show like Leap and look for investment? What would it take for you to look at a product or look at a business and think this is something that I can think will do well?
Well, if I talk like a consumer, of course, I think I will always look for interesting quality development software products. If I talk about business person, like everyone, we're talking about how to invest the best way.
Invest in anything, basically. So for you, you must have a lot of people come to you every day with projects. I have a business, I have this, would you want to invest in this? You must have had 20, 30 years of people coming to you, right? And you have to pick the right ones. So for example, the app you have. Talk us through the app you have, which is doing so well in the world of tech at the moment.
Well, I think everyone, in my case, I tried to form myself when I finished football, and I was trying to study in a business school. So what I learned is not to put all the eggs in the same basket, no? So I always try to diversify. And in this case, technologically talking, we settle up and about try to help the youngers that don't have the chance to be scouting, no?
Yeah.
And the app calls Dream Football. It's for the kids that dream one time or one moment to have opportunity to achieve the professional level or to be seen by a club. So it's more or less a platform that, like YouTube, for example, that you put your skills, and then of course we have the partnership with different clubs in national clubs or international clubs, and we give them the information about the kids, and they look if they are happy and like the kid, they call him to try his chance in the club to train, and that's it. After that, in the app we settle different business models, and we're very happy to help in this case the kids that have a dream to be a professional, to have the opportunity to be seen by the clubs.
So let me get this straight for the audience. If somebody has a son in the audience who wants to be big in football, they can log on to Dream Football, take a video of their son playing, upload it on the app, and you and a team of scouts will analyze the performance of the player and recommend to football clubs, you should have a look at this player.
Correct.
That's amazing.
Easy.
So if you heard it here first, if anyone in Saudi wants to get to European football, you have a Ballon d'Or winner who will look at the videos of your children and make recommendations. So,
we had some success cases of young kids that did that, and they had the chance, and they are right now playing in some clubs. So it's a model that works, and the technology helps in this case to these kids to have opportunity to follow their dreams. No?
Amazing. Dream football, everyone. Have a look at it. We've entered into technology now, and I want to talk about technology in sports. Dream football did not exist when you started playing football. There was no really video filming, not technology at this scale. How have you seen the evolution of technology, especially in football, in your career to today?
Well, I stopped playing football in 2009, so I played for 20 years more or less, and of course there's been some important changes in terms of technology in football. I have idea that in football you can't lose the sense of what is football, because I started play football in the street, not in academies, and I didn't like to see football being changing what is the sense. No, I think of course the desire of to predict what happened in the future is part of the human nature, but I think technology shows how innovative tools can improve the game. Technology will not decide winners or losers, but makes the game fairer. No? So I think some changes is being done in terms of technology, including in football, like goal line technology that when I play was not existing. The electronic performance and tracking systems, the VAR. So these kind of situations can make the football more fair, but not deciding who wins or lose. So it's important changes through these years, and I hope that we follow the technology that we have to the good of sport.
Excellent. You touched on something which is making a lot of noise at the moment, which is VAR. You've been a player, you're an advisor to UEFA. How do you feel about VAR and how it's being used in world football today?
Well, I think it's an important tool that helps to decide well, but I think should be communicate, inform, not only the people that is inside of football, but outside, the fans too. Because you have to have a concept, a correct concept that what is VAR. It's very difficult when you watch football and you see a decision or a penalty sign or a decision by the referee that you don't understand because you're not educated
on the laws.
How is the real rule of the game, no? The laws of the game. So I think it's very important to have that concept. All the industry of football use the technology and explain really what is and why is like this. Because sometimes I see some decisions that I play football and I think, why? Why and what happened, no? So I think it's very, very important, the education. Of course, the VAR is very important because it makes more fair the results, but in the way that everyone is in the same line and everyone understands the decisions of in this case, the referees.
So, as a fan, I want to ask you something. I'm a fan watching at home or in the stadium. Explain to me why we cannot hear the referee speaking to VAR. Because for me, it fixes your problem. We need to understand why. The only people that can explain to me why this decision has been taken is the VAR and the referee who took this decision. Why do we not have that at the moment in football? Do you think it's to protect the referee?
Well, I think is a step that could be made in the future, but maybe right now is a conversation that must be settled between the referee and the VAR box in this case, and maybe it's to protect, of course, the decision of the referee, because sometimes, like I said before, I think is the intuition of the referee the decision, and must be very strict. In my opinion, the decision is like black and white in the terms of what happened in the box, no? So maybe the next step will happen, because it's recently the VR and there's a lot of things that should be improved.
Should be improved. Goal line technology. Do you think that's going on well? The ball that hits the line, we saw in 2010, I think, in the World Cup, Frank Lampard, and I think that's where FIFA started changing the idea. For me, it's probably the best example of a technology which has worked in sports. Do you think there's anything controversial about it, or all is good with it?
No, I think it's easy, because the goal line technology shows you really if the ball is inside or outside. So in that case, there's not so many doubts in terms of the decision.
Okay. I want to talk a bit about analytics. We talked about scouting, which is obviously your app, Dream Football. We are at a stage now with your app, companies like Scout, where there's so much data about football. If you have an account, you can log on, you can see the amount of runs made, the amount of passes made, everything. Do you think we're getting to the stage where that form of augmented reality will replace the work of a scout? So you will just have that data, and people will look at the data and will stop looking at the player.
Well, I think the data has been, in the last years, was growing more in terms of clubs and federations. Of course, it's important to have the value of the data, not only in football, but for all the tech companies, are the biggest, one of the biggest values in the world, I think. And in football, I think it helps in terms of performance, in terms of training. But I don't think we'll move or change in this term in terms of personnel to be used only data. You need the people to certify all the data to be used in improvement of the training, the performance, the other teams, the scouting. So I think it's there. Will be growing more in the future, I think. Will be a big value for the clubs and the football associations.
Interesting. Okay. Let's talk about, we know that technology is always evolving. So when you started playing football to when you retired, a lot of changes have happened. What do you look at in football today and say, I wish we had that technology back then? We see players recover from injuries quicker. We see analysis to prepare teams on their next teams. So we see a lot of technology being involved. What do you think was a big switch that you wish you played during that time? Did you have injuries, for example, that lasted long?
Well, I think all the news that I was talking before in terms of data, training session, equipments, balls, boots, have improved so much in this last decade that make for sure now the players and the staff and the clubs and the people involved in this industry have more control of their individual performance and players' data. So now, that didn't happen in my time. Everyone after a game knows how many assists, how many passes, how many wrong decisions I made. So that, I think, will help the player if you are interested in grow and to be better in the next game, to try to improve or to try to train that situation better to be better. So this is the example of the technology in football that I didn't have in my time. No? And you could see now that exists and can help you to perform much better every day.
Okay, very interesting. Guys, we're going to ask one more question, and I think we have time for probably two from the audience. If anyone has a question, you can ask Basma. Last question, Luis. When you look back at your career, what hits you? What is your highlight? What are the 1, 2, 3 best memories you have?
Well, I think all the passion that I had for my job, my work, the football, make me to achieve so many things that I couldn't believe when I started to play football. No, I like to train, I like to compete, I like to every day be better, and of course, if I had more data, more technology, maybe I could be better in that time, no? In that period. So I just want to thankful to all the companies that work in this case to help football to improve, to help the players to be better, and for sure more news and will come in the future to make this sport more bigger and bigger.
Inshallah. I think in terms of a career, there's very few players that can rival you, so I think you've done very well. We'll take one question, I think, from the audience. If anyone has a question, now is the time to ask. Otherwise, we will move on. I think the gentleman in front. We've got 5 minutes.
An easy one, please.
Yes, it's easy. As a Barcelona fan, I want to ask you, what's your feeling for the first time coming to Camp Nou after moving to Madrid?
I didn't understand.
I think, can you come closer because we didn't hear you?
As a Barcelona fan, I want to ask, what's your feeling first time you come to Camp Nou as a Real Madrid player?
You understood?
I understood, yes. I understood. You are a Barcelona fan.
I think you should pretend you didn't understand and we move on to another question.
Well, for me, it was a comeback to a house that I knew so well for 5 years. The atmosphere was not so friendly, but I was just trying to focus on do my work, do what my coach was told me before the game. So I was trying to be focused on my game, but unfortunately. The result was not positive for us, and that was the worst. But I think it was a great individual experience for me that helped me in the future of my career.
Thank you for your question. Luis, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming to Saudi.
It's a pleasure to be in Saudi. Thanks for everyone who will be here.
Thank you all.